Hello everyone, it's Jackie from In the Cove, and I'm here to give you a wrap up of the items that will be discussed by councillors at the Lane Cove Council meeting, the October meeting, on the Thursday, the 23rd of October at the Lane Cove Council Chambers at 7 p.m. But before I do a deep dive into this packed agenda, I thought I'd speak to you about local democracy and how you, yes, you, can get involved in local democracy. Did you know that before every council meeting, there's a public forum? And locals can address councillors for up to 3 minutes on any item that is on the agenda or any item that impacts you as a local. Now, to do this, you have to register, and you can do it either via Zoom or in person. And to register, just go to our article on the Lane Cove Council meeting in October on our website and click through the links. And while you're there, you'll notice that we have every agenda item and then some background underneath it. So if you find this video stimulating and you want to know everything that happens at Lane Cove Council meeting, you can read every agenda item. I'm not going to discuss them because a lot of them are admin things, but I'm going to talk about some of the few ones that people might like to know about. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first item is a mayoral minute, and the mayor is congratulating the Osborne Park Progress Association for reaching their 100th birthday. That's a big deal. So to celebrate this, they're going to have a photo display at the Lane Cove Library, and also a plaque will be unveiled at the Osborne Park Recreation Area. That's great. That's a really big thing for a Progress Association / Residents Association. Okay, so let's talk about some of the notices of motion that have been put up by councillors. Now, these can either be put up by a councillor on their own or with a group of councillors. And what it's saying is that this councillor wants a specific topic to be discussed. So the first one we're going to look at involves this. Do you know what this is? It's Spanish moss. Did I know what it was? Nope. Not until I wrote an article about it and found out that it's an invasive weed that is doing a lot of damage in the lower North Shore and across Lane Cove. It hooks onto trees, and when it's on a host tree, it blocks out the sunlight. It's so heavy that it weighs down on the tree, branches fall, and also the tree eventually dies. And given that we are leafy Lane Cove, we want our trees to survive. So Rochelle Flood has tabled a notice of motion asking the council to look at opportunities for increased management of the Spanish moss within Lane Cove Council, and also to advocate for the federal recognition of Spanish moss as a priority weed. Okay, so the next couple of notices relate to this, the St Leonard's South Precinct. That is what it's going to look like when all the developments have been constructed. And you'll see that it's a big area that borders on one side on the Pacific Highway and on the other side, River Road. So councillors Southwood, Greenwell and Taylor have tabled 2 notices of motion in relation to this area. And before I go much further, I thought it would be a great idea just to explain a little bit about what this area is and how big it is. So that is an area of 6.2 hectares, and we're seeing high-rise residential construction that has not been seen in Lane Cove before. Once the construction is finished, there will be approximately 3,629 residents. That's very specific, and 1,839 apartments. Now, with these apartments being due to complete in 2027, many of the residents, particularly those who are down on the River Road border, will need to access the Wollstonecraft Station and Greenwich Public School, and so they will need to cross River Road. How do they do that? Well, they could walk up the hill to Shirley Road, or we could look at putting in a signalised pedestrian crossing. Now, the New South Wales Transport for New South Wales has recommended that there be a signalised pedestrian crossing, but have also said that it's not a high priority. In fact, it's a medium priority. So the councillors have suggested that this really needs to be looked at quite urgently, and they've asked Lane Cove Council to have urgent meetings with Transport for New South Wales so that the pedestrian crossing is designed and constructed before 2027, because we all know how long it takes to get signalised crossings in Lane Cove and also to have them commissioned. Right. I thought I'd show you just a little bit what is happening in the St Leonard's South area, and in particular along River Road. So these pictures were taken yesterday, the 20th of October, and you can see there's quite a lot of construction happening and lots of heavy machinery, lots of dust and lots of noise and lots of parking by tradies. So again, Councillors Southwood, Greenwell and Taylor have tabled a notice of motion asking that, given there's increasing level of concern by the community about exposure to dust and noise from construction sites, they would like council to investigate a couple of things. One of them is the use of dust and noise equipment for its own compliance and public health purposes. They also want to look at developing specific consent conditions requiring the installation of equipment on the boundaries of construction sites, and also the reporting of data derived from this equipment. So they're asking a report from Lane Cove Council. They've also suggested that when looking at the DA conditions, that they should look at a specific parking plan for construction so that residents are aware where tradies can park, and also to ensure that buses and garbage trucks, etc., can get through. Right, here's another photo just showing you the extent of what's happening there. You may have read on In the Cove and numerous national media outlets that Lane Cove was recently came out on top as the most livable community according to the Place Score Livable Community Index. And this Australian livability census is published every 2 years, and it's data derived from an online survey, and it's asking locals how they perceive their neighbourhood. So it's human-centric. It doesn't take into account things like crime stats or health system data or economic data. It's just about how you feel about living in your suburb. Lane Cove did very well and got a score of 80 out of 100. And this score is well above the national and state averages of 66. It should be noted that not every council will be included in this survey, as there may be too small participation in certain local government areas. The census was completed by 585 Lane Cove locals who provided over 15,000 responses. Councillor Bennison has tabled a notice of motion giving thanks to the Lane Cove Council staff for everything they have done to ensure that Lane Cove Council is a livable area. The next two notices relate to the Lane Cove Aquatic Leisure Centre. The first one is in relation to the management agreement. Bluefit, who is the current manager, has been appointed for another 5 years. Now, this appointment was done after an independent review of the management operations was undertaken. And on the basis of this independent review, council staff are satisfied that Bluefit is doing a job which is not only compliant, but with contractual obligation, but is also delivering performances that exceed industry benchmarks. I'm going to read out specifically what is in the agenda item because I know a lot of people are interested in how the pool is managed. The independent review confirmed that the current operator is not only compliant with all contractual obligations, but is also delivering performance that exceeds industry benchmarks. With annual visitation nearing 1 million, membership penetration more than double the national average, and learn to swim enrolments surpassing those of comparable facilities. The centre is achieving excellent community reach and impact. A net promoter score of 37 plus also demonstrates strong customer satisfaction and loyalty. The report also did note, while the review identified some areas for improvement, particularly around presentation standards, housekeeping and the ageing condition of certain assets, these are shared challenges with council that reflect both the operational and infrastructure responsibilities. They also highlight the need for improved follow-through on audit recommendations and a more proactive approach to asset management. So based on these findings, Bluefit will be managing for another 5 years. The next notice of motion is one by numerous councillors, Bryler, Southwood, Flood, Greenwell, Kennedy, Little and Rowenfeld, and they've tabled a notice of motion requesting that a workshop be held in late 2025 or early 2026 on the electrification of the Lane Cove Aquatic Leisure Centre. Then after this workshop, they would like information to be reviewed and included in the 2026-27 budget and long-term financial plan. The notice of motion states that gas heating public swimming pools are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions due to their reliance on natural gas. These facilities are among the highest energy consumers in the local government areas. Electrifying pool heating systems and transitioning to renewable energy sources is an essential step in reducing net zero emissions. Right, so that's in relation to the pool. Recognise these lifts? I bet you do. And the day I took this photo, the lift wasn't working and hasn't been working for a long time. Councillors Bennison and Taylor have tabled a notice of motion asking that the ongoing breakdowns at Market Square be discussed and that Council press the Region Group, which is the head lessee, and Knight Frank, who are the centre manager, for more information and transparency on how these lifts and escalators are going to be fixed and the time frame within which they're going to be fixed, and to ensure that there are timely repairs and better signage. For example, this was a signage last time and it was put there by Woolies rather than centre manager. I did speak to the centre manager and they have put out better signs, and in fact they now have a specific number you can call, but it is difficult sometimes to contact them because they are not on site, but there is a 24-hour assistance line. Let's see how that goes. Right, so the next thing to be discussed is the recommendations of the Lane Cove Traffic Forum. Now, this used to be called the Lane Cove Council Traffic Advisory Committee. This has changed, and I'm actually going to do an article on the changes and what this means. So look out for that one. I know you'll be waiting. Now, there's several recommendations from the Lane Cove Traffic Forum, but one of them relates to the notorious bend on Mowbray Road. What Lane Cove Council wants to do is install something called a vehicle activated sign, which provides real-time speed feedback and encourages compliance with the proposed limit. The minutes speak about this being a high accident zone due to speed. Well, I've been covering accidents over here for a long time, and one, they always occur, nearly always occur when it's wet, and eyewitnesses have told me that the vehicle didn't appear to be speeding. And I've also been approached by a local resident with over 20 years experience in road safety, and he contacted me and noted that there are several reasons for accidents on that bend, being a combination of poor drainage design, surface contamination, vegetation management issues, inadequate signage, and the tight geometry, making this location hazardous during wet conditions. So you can see that this new sign will be where the blue dot is. That's just one step. There is also plans to look at the whole shape of it, but this will give them some real-time data. The forum also discussed the Sierra Street intersection with the the Harris Farm Markets complex. Now, you can see that that's just down the bottom, and at the moment you'll see a lot of people just coming straight through there, not realising maybe that vehicles are coming from Tambourine Bay Road along Sierra Street and that there could be a collision. So there's going to be a stop sign there. One of the other things that the Lane Cove Traffic Forum discussed was the very popular Lane Cove by the River Wine and Food Festival. And this will be on the 2nd of November this year, and tickets are already available. And again, there's a link on our websites for you to get those tickets. Here's my hint. Buy the tickets for the drinks before you get there, because otherwise the lineup is really long and sometimes they run out of glasses. Right, what else is there? Okay, well, that's really the big agenda items. There's a lot more on there, and a lot of them are admin things. So why don't you look at our article on the In the Cove website so you can look at every agenda item if you so desire. I hope you've enjoyed, that may be a strong word, our wrap up, and I look forward to doing this again, maybe on another subject. Bye.